2SRL Season 8 is over.
Welcome ladies and gentlemen to the 2SRL Tier 1 British Grand Prix. It's a 3.66 miles long circuit, the 9th iteration of the Silverstone circuit. You have 18 corners, 8 to the left and 10 to the right, and an average speed of around 156 miles per hour. Lewis Hamilton getting around the outside of Valtteri Bottas in Luffield in 2019. Bottas would come back at Hamilton and get him into cops. That's where we're going to head to now. The first lap with Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris. What a duel this was. Ricciardo thought he had the McLaren. Norris getting ahead of the Renault before we head on to Mackett. And now to the Vale chicane in 2019 where Sebastian Vettel too late on the brakes and ran into the rear end of Max Verstappen. 3 tyre compounds for today. The soft tyre, the medium and the hard. Mediums being about half a second slower per lap and the hards on average being about 1.2 seconds slower each and every lap. Joining me today is going to be someone semi-familiar to some faces, semi-not familiar to some others. It's going to be ex-Formula 1 Red Bull racer, the real Alex Albon, also known as Sam. How are you doing today, my friend?
Hello, I'm great. Very excited for the race. I'm excited to see how people get on. How are you feeling this fine evening?
I'm feeling really excited for this. It's been, I believe, about 2 races or so since I've last done a session with the 2SRL here. Unfortunately, not been able to get involved as much as I would have liked. So it's going to be really nice to get back in and see some of these great drivers at it once again. A few things I've missed. I luckily, thanks to some of the admins and some of the other drivers, was able to get a little bit caught up on how things were going. Ferrari have actually managed to extend their lead quite well, actually, in the Tier 1 standings. 307 points, and to Red Bull, below them, who only have 185 points. That is quite a gap, to be perfectly honest. And when we look at the drivers, it's getting quite tight. I mean, Danny, he's still holding the lead. Justin holding in P2, and Kopi. At the beginning of the season, Kopi was sort of like that, like the driver I had a lot more passion for than some of the others, and he's holding well in third there, doing quite a good job. But it's going to be exciting to see some of these drivers, what they can do, what have I missed, type thing. I believe there's 1 or 2 drivers in here I haven't seen as much from, being the likes of Vexid in the Renault. So I'm going to be quite excited to see what he can do today. It's I've heard some things that he's pretty fast. But they're going to have about just under 16 minutes now to get their qualifying laps in. One of the only drivers so far, though, to set themselves up in the mediums is Icewind, who's going to give it a crack. And I believe he's currently on a fast lap as well, going through the first sector.
Sorry for the exclamation there. I just saw Nico spinning on his outlap, coming onto the fast lap. So that's gonna really slow down his fast lap there. Looks like he's just struggling a little bit. Maybe the balance of the car, or maybe even he just overcooked it a little bit into the corner. But that's definitely gonna hurt his fast lap. Probably not gonna be anything too great for any one of these drivers this first lap anyway, because obviously everybody's trying to just set a banker, something fast but not insanely fast, so that they can set themselves up for later on in the quali when the track's a bit more grippy and they can really gun it.
Definitely.
But who do you think's going to be coming out on top today then?
So I always have my high expectations for our top runners. Obviously Justin in the Red Bull, Danny in the Ferrari, and then obviously Kobe in the Williams. But I've heard so many good things about Vexit, who's in the Renault team. That he's meant to be really, really quick. So I think it's going to maybe be a little bit of a shake-up. And something that I had caught wind of, but apparently doesn't seem to be happening today, is I was informed that we would have saw the return of Pixel in the McLaren, but it looks like that's not actually going to be the case. So Nico then is going to have Icewind, as we saw there, who invalidated his lap on the mediums. Icewind's going to be filling in today for Pixel. Quite unfortunate. I was quite looking forward to seeing the good old Irishman back at it again, but currently, with just under 14 minutes left, we have 5 drivers who've currently set their laps, a few more that are on them at the moment, one of those being Fox, who's actually just invalidated. Timo as well, then coming through in the third sector in the Ferrari. His teammate Danny is currently setting himself up on an out lap as well. Your Constructors' Championship leaders, Timo holding in 4th in the Drivers' Championship. I'm sure he would love to push himself that little bit further. I had a little bit of a chat with him further through, or throughout the week coming up to this, so hopefully we'll see him really sort of putting that push on. I think the last time I really saw a really strong performance from Timo, obviously with myself not being here, was actually all the way back in Monaco, where he took advantage of quite a dire situation that came of 2 of the drivers into turn 1 halfway through the race, and managed to slot himself up quite big for that one. But Timo crossing line, getting himself into P5. Fastest lap so far has been set by Vexit, the driver I've been told about. 123.7.
Wide away is faster.
Wide a ways faster than our driver in second, Formula Chris. But I think I've asked you this before. You've been in here once or twice with me. But who would be on this grid out of, maybe there's some of the drivers you know, or maybe you're not so familiar with. But if there's anyone on this grid that you would you have a little bit more knowledge about, who do you think would be your sort of driver to watch in your opinion?
I mean, it's too bad Pixel isn't here, really. He's the one I know the most about. But I think we could see something good from Kopi, seeing as his race, last time I was here was Spain, as he goes P6. Yeah, no, I mean, from what I've seen, from what I can tell, I think Vexit is looking for a very strong result today, and Timo might even be looking for something strong. I've heard, especially since the I do not remember the name, but do you remember the multi-league fight that we did beginning of the month?
Yes,
yeah,
between the two.
Judging from that, I think we could see something good come from Timo, seeing as he had a pretty good result there. Other than that, I'm not really too sure. I think this will be a close race, though, either way. Is that Formula Chris? Oh, he's in the pits.
That's actually Danny. I know what you're thinking of there. Danny moving up into P3, but look at the gap from Formula Chris there. Very, very tight. And I can only imagine going further into this session, it just getting tighter between these drivers. 13 drivers have set their laps. We currently have from P14 down to 20 just left to set theirs. Nico's actually decided to go on an out lap on mediums himself. And we all know, of course, Silverstone, it's gonna be the strategy when it comes to your tires. It's gonna be a soft medium from inside the top 10, of course. But it's gonna be interesting to see if any of the drivers outside the top 10 opt in to go for the counter strat, whether they decide to go for the to start on the mediums and then head on to the softs. Hopefully,
definitely the fastest strat.
Definitely. Hopefully then there's going to be no sort of issues. The last thing we want to see, a whole 1.2 seconds slower per lap on the hards. It would be quite a ways away to see any of the drivers, maybe in a lap 1 incident and then having to hop onto the hards. That's sort of the the final straw, the last option that you don't really want to touch as much on this track. But to everyone sitting at home watching us here on YouTube, I hope you're all having a great evening so far. How was the Tier 2 race from your perspective? As everyone knows, about an hour ago roughly is when the Tier 2 race wrapped up. It was in Silverstone as well, so I'm sure it's been quite a night of excitement so far, and hopefully we can continue to bring that to you here on the EGL YouTube channel. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoy the stream, give us a little thumbs up. It is greatly appreciated from everyone here at the EGL. But back to the qualifying. Under 10 minutes left to go. We're currently on with Nico, and currently actually invalidated his lap. So sorry, Nico. I got a lot of love for you, but we're going to switch to Yari. Now, Yari's one of those drivers that I've seen recently in the as he's invalidated again, but I'm going to continue talking about him. He's one of the drivers that I saw recently in the Mind F1 charity event that was done quite recently, and was quite a good fighter. Was a real scrapper in my opinion. Whenever I was watching or commentating, sorry, the Group A race, Yari was one of those drivers who made it through then to get on to move into the finals, and spent that entire race just fighting. So I'm gonna have high hopes for Yari, who's gonna be here in the Haas. And another driver to mention who is in the pits as well, as always, really, it's Dragon. Every time we get into a session, Dragon always just decides, hey, I think I'm gonna sit in the pits until maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, excuse me, before the end of it, and then decide to come out and do a lap. We've seen a few last to first challenges from Dragon. I wonder, is that going to be the same today, or is he going to get his head together and come out? I know he's sitting in the chat somewhere. Always does it. Currently on with Icewind though at the moment. Currently in P20, hasn't set a lap yet on the softs. Decided to throw away those mediums. Wasn't the tire for him. It's going to come around here in the final corner. Gets himself all the way up into P4 now. As a driver who's not currently seated in that McLaren, to the best of my knowledge, it's looking quite good. A 24.153. Look how close that was to Danny.
That's a 100th of Formula Chris as well. I mean, that's, you know, 2,000ths is equivalent to millimeters. It's really nothing. So the fact that they can all be that close is pretty incredible. I think that's definitely a testament to see how fast these drivers are and how close they are today. And I think it will show us what we are to expect. Formula Chris going into the pits and Danny actually coming out of the pits on his outlap.
Definitely. So, and I was going to say another thing to note there. Vexit actually did manage to improve there again by quite roughly, we'll say about a 10th, from a 123.7 to a 123.6. But as Durhammer said in the chat there, imagine setting a 123.7 as a banker lap here in Silverstone. That's some pace. You know, that's definitely something, and I'm just excited to see what the rest of the drivers can do with the qualifying. Of course, if they can get close to that lap, which you know, I've got high hopes for a lot of these drivers. They can definitely pull something like that off. And but then even in the race, you know, is Vexit maybe going to be one of those drivers that starts to maybe pull away if he can manage to hold on to provisional pole and, you know, throughout the opening couple of laps, just increase a gap to obviously outside of the DRS? Is he going to be one of those drivers that storms away? We've seen a few drivers like that in the past in multiple other leagues that just manage to find these gaps out of nowhere.
Nico's just spun off, hit the wall on cops. I think he's just pushing those mediums a bit further than they want to go. He's definitely having issues with the balance of the car, but yeah, we'll have to see about that in the race, I suppose. I think he's really going to be struggling here. Don't know if it's just a bad setup or if he's just pushing it too hard or something, but I saw him spin earlier on the softs as well. So we'll have to see how he does. But going back to Vexit, it very much reminds me of another driver we both know very well. I think we might see him just storm away here, and that's Nico going into the pits. So yeah, I don't know if he actually picked up damage there, but let's hope not. I suppose it doesn't really matter, does it? You go into the pits, it gets instantly repaired. Thus is the way with F1.
Definitely. If only it was like that in the official as well. If only you could pop into the pits real quick, a quick little flash of a light, and then everything's all good. But yeah, Nico is gonna want to come in there, get some softs on, and get out there as quickly as possible. We're on board with Tipsy there, up into 14th. He's done so far. Let's hop in with Danny real quick, though. He's currently going through the second sector in P3 at the moment and not far behind Formula Chris, who's currently in the pits. These drivers who are currently in the pits at the moment will have that chance to get out and get one more lap in. We got a quick cut to the McLaren garage there. I think that's actually one of the drivers preparing to come out. We've noticed that in the past happening. Danny, though, abandoning his lap. I didn't get a chance to quite look at the times how it was going for him, but he's going to be abandoning so far. Come into the pits, prepare himself for the final lap that he's going to be able to put in for this session. Only driver at the moment who's currently on a fast lap is actually Yari, who's invalidated again. That's 2 laps now that Yari has been very unfortunate to invalidate with that. Fox currently on an out lap. I believe Icewind. Yeah, it was Icewind's garage we were getting a little sneak peek at. I think McLaren security are going to have to have a little bit of a look into that. Can't have us taking a little bit too much of a peek in there. But Fox then's going to be finishing out his out lap very soon. Really, he's taking up a lot of grass there at the moment. I'm not sure what's going on in the Williams there. Oh, we're getting another cut by the looks of things to the Ferrari garage there. We're getting a lot of sneak peeks. I don't know if you're getting these like I am, but I've been getting a lot of sneak peeks in multiple car garages at the moment. They definitely got up the security a little bit there.
Going down the grid to Zamboni, he's now forfeiting a lap that he just spun on, actually. His fast lap he spun at turn 1. A couple drivers struggling with balance, I think. It'll be interesting to see how they cope.
I mean, am I correct in saying, as I'm looking over at the chat, the chief himself has come in and says rain in 5 minutes. Does that mean, have you found out anything to do with the forecast today? Are we gonna see some real British weather today, or are we looking at a dry race today?
I mean, I'll tell you, I have no clue at all, and I think it'll be interesting to see. Our little weather tablet's kind of gone down recently, so we're not going to be able to tell you the weather. But we'll have to see, I suppose.
I think it just came back online because we've just got let know there's going to be a dry race. In fact, it's just we're getting rain in 5 minutes, approximately for the qualifying. But all these drivers now, you can see Formula Chris is on an out lap.
5 minutes left in the quali.
Exactly. So it lines up quite perfectly, really. Fox is currently on his fast lap. Chris, Danny, and a lot of the other drivers currently on their out laps to prepare. It's going to be their last chance to really set themselves up for on that grid. As you said there, yeah, Fox coming through just a little bit and invalidating the lap. So I don't know. I don't think he's going to have enough time. He's not going to have enough time to get in there and get out.
I mean, a lap here, 124, 125. 30 seconds to get out of the pits. I think he can make it. I think if he's really lucky with getting into the pits, which he isn't really, he slows down there. I don't know. I think we'll have to see.
One of the drivers then, Vito, someone we haven't spoke about. Maybe it's a bit of a unfamiliar name to myself. Maybe a new driver who's hopped into the Mercedes seat, finishing out an out lap and going on to a fast one very soon. I believe we have a few. I think there's a Renault, a Ferrari, Haas, AlphaTauri. There's a lot of drivers, I believe, that are going out through there. I think Icewind, Timo, and obviously Vito now are on a fast lap. We're getting a peek at the Williams garage now, by the looks of things. But I'm wondering what happened to Icewind there. I think he just dove into the pits there by the looks of things. But let's hop on with Timo real quick, as he's currently in P8, going really wide on cops. I'm not sure how that didn't invalidate. It didn't come up as an invalidation for us. He went extremely wide, has bound to have lost a lot of time. Doesn't look like there's going to be any improvement from the Ferrari driver for this lap.
You know something interesting? Dragon hasn't come out of the pits, so he's going last to first.
Is this another Dragon last to first challenge, as we've seen in the past?
Now that is interesting. I think let's see. I mean, Dragon is incredibly fast. I won't take that away from him. He is incredibly fast as a driver, and so I think we'll see good things maybe coming. Although, I mean, if you think about it, everybody here now has had practice. They've now had minimum 3 laps of practice on this track, and every bit helps. And so, you know, maybe he's going to be a little bit rusty. You know, an hour or 2 since he last practiced. Maybe he's going to be a little bit slow to start with, and we might even see him struggle. But I honestly think Dragon could do well.
It's very possible. I mean, there was one of the times where Dragon decided to hold himself in the pits, and it was for the sole reason of, I believe that was the day of his birthday, where he was just sitting there eating birthday cake instead of getting out and doing quali laps. But Danny then crossing the line, getting himself into the 23s with a 23.996 up into P2. Not enough to get ahead of Vexit, but Vexit has invalidated his lap. So a driver such as Jay in the Mercedes at the moment has got an opportunity here to improve a bit, get himself a little bit further up. Timo, by the looks of things, is going for another lap at the moment.
Cubs is on his fast lap. We might see something good from him as well. As he's coming into Cops in just 1 second here. I don't know.
I believe Cubs might be on a cooldown, but there's Yari out of nowhere in the Haas. I didn't even see that coming. Yari just out of nowhere decides, okay, it's about time I show these guys what I got, and he's up into P2, knocks Danny off of the front row. Driver currently is coming through as well, sector 3. That bans around the final corner. He's gonna hold where he's at. He's not able to improve, just ahead of his teammate. A solid 15-16 for the Racing Point team. And let's get back on. I believe Jay actually diving into the pits there. I think this may be our grid.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. So just in that racer, he's on low fuel or something. I don't know what's going on.
Coming in for the cooldown.
Coming into the pits. So yeah, that's everybody. So that looks like your grid for today. I think Vexit definitely in the best position he can be. You really don't want to be behind coming into turn 1 here. It's a really difficult corner, especially to be side by side with. So if you can be out in front, you know, be in the clean air, not have to worry about being slow or losing downforce, it's really, really good. Really, really good position.
Definitely. So
I think we'll see Jari probably trying to throw it around the inside, either in turn 1 or turn 2, because turn 2 is a pretty slow right-hander. I don't know.
So running through our grid then real quick, just before we go, Vexit managing to get himself onto pole position with a 123.649, quite a ways away from Yari then with a 123.966. That's your front row, followed by Danny and Cubs. Formula Chris then P5, followed by Icewind, Justin that racer, Jay, Nagmeister, Timo, Vito, Silent, Kopi, and the rest as follows. We'll get to that in just a second.
How do you think this is going to go out then? Vexit pulling a gap? Vexit being taken, maybe? I don't know.
I mean, I think it's very possible, but at the same time, from what I've seen from Yari in the past, he can be a very aggressive driver and really, like I said before, is a bit of a scrapper. So, you know, Danny, he's going to be starting on the second row. It's not too far back, probably not exactly where he would have wanted to be. But I believe with that, he'll get to start on the outside then, which into turn 1, I believe, is a little bit of a better run if you're coming in on the outside of turn 1, inside for turn 2. For that little switch round. But I think it's going to be our first couple of corners. I can feel a little bit of a scrap coming on. And it's all going to be sort of dependent on that. I feel like Vexit needs to be challenged early on if, you know, if it wants to be kept on that sort of even playing field. I mean, if these guys go into turn 1 and they just let Vexit, you know, get that in the way that he wants, I think then he's going to be able to say, okay, well, they're giving me that free run, I guess I'll take it, and we'll see what happens, and then just sort of start that charge. So I think it is going to be very dependent on how they all take the start and see if they really want to challenge him into that corner.
I think actually, if I was Yari, you know, I think the strategy might even be to sit behind Vexit on the start, sit behind him for turn 1 and 2, because those are 2 very challenging corners, and you really want to use all the track. And being side by side can slow you down, maybe even introduce a third. And then in turn 3, as we see Vexit coming through now, that is a really, really slow corner. So, you know, maybe a small dive. If Yari's any much of a fighter like I am, you know, he'd be launching it into turn 3. You know, no worries at all. And that's what I sort of expect. I don't know. I think he may. It will all depend on his start, really. It will all depend on Vexit's start and Yari's start. Because, you know, if Yari gets a really, really good start, then we'll definitely see him on the inside or the outside. Oh, as Vexit has just tapped him. They're both going to be disqualified, aren't they? Yes, they are. So, for anyone who doesn't know, disqualification means that you're going to be teleported back to the start line. Your tire temperatures, for some reason, are randomized, so you could be on extremely cold tires or extremely hot tires. I don't know why it does it, but that's the way it works. And you don't have to wait for the formation lap to come around very slowly. And yeah, this is going to be probably a bit of added stress on those two. Maybe even a bit of boredom seeking in. But how do you think this start's going to go then?
I mean, with what we just saw with Vexit and Yari, the incident between those two, I mean, like you said, the tires and everything, it can be a little bit of a downfall for some of the drivers. This is going to be the best opportunity, I feel, for Danny. You know, Danny, unfortunately, you know, he got himself up into P2, but then Yari was able to knock him out of that. And, you know, I think with Danny seeing that as well, I think that's going to be maybe a little bit of added confidence as well, going off of the start, thinking like, okay, well, these guys are going to be in that little bit more of an unfortunate circumstance. Let's take full advantage of that and sort of, you know, try to challenge that early. And it could mean that Danny can get Yari on the start and maybe get into a little bit of a fight with Vexit. But we're getting ready now to go for this 26 lap race around the Silverstone circuit, the 9th iteration.
9th iteration, yeah, of course it is.
Oh, the first one, I believe, 1950, somewhere around that. But as we're getting ready, the lights are coming on, getting our angle sorted out. It is 5 lights on. It is lights out. And away we go. It looked like one of the McLarens at the back there. That looked like Nico getting an incredible start. One of the drivers at the back to start on the soft tires. Vexa going into turn 1 there. Looks like Danny's got the jump on Yari, though. And is going to be going on the outside, sorry, into turn 3 there. He's got the inside going through. Is he going to be able to get ahead there? There's a whole bunch of scrapping going on in the midfield here. Looks like...
gone. Vexit's really just left them. And one thing that I was going to say before we started is you can't forget that all of these drivers, these top 5, are hundredths away from each other. Scrap there with Cubs and Icewind. Icewind's going to get the better of him. This is really interesting now. Vexit really is just pulling a big gap now, isn't he?
I mean, yeah, with the start there, with Danny really wanting to challenge Yari with that and not really able to get it done in a sense, that just gave Vexit the prime opportunity really to start getting a bit of a charge going. But Icewind doing very well, of course. All of the drivers from the start, from 11 down to P, all the way down the grid, really, we're starting on the mediums, aside from Nico, who decided to start on the softs. Formula Chris, though, come into some issues. It shows that he's currently down in P20. Let's just check that the grid isn't messed up with that. It isn't. Icewind being the first to pick up a penalty, though, quite early on in the session. He's not going to be happy about that. 3 seconds. It's always going to be quite unfortunate to pick up a penalty at all. Never mind this early on in the session. But as you said in the beginning of Vexit being gone, he's kind of gone, but he's not gone in the same sense. Because what we're seeing at the moment, Yari's managing to hold on from that. And the largest gap, really, from that front is Icewind is just trying to hold on to that gap of Danny there, trying to hold on to the back of him. It shows that we have quite a big gap from Jay to Timo at the minute. I'm not sure if our grid is just deciding to shape itself up as Codemaster likes to do. Let's see if we can get back on with the likes of Vexit real quick. I think it's fixed itself up. We'll wait for the timing sheet to show itself the way it should be. But Yari managing to hold on to P2. Danny very early on trying to challenge that and just trying to get ahead there. Wasn't successful. Yari managed to hold on to that. Icewind up into P4 at the moment. Justin has moved up as well a little bit. He's up in P6 at the moment. Timo from P10, I believe, starting on the grid up into P8. He's made 2 overtakes at the moment, but he's got a lot more work to do if he wants to get himself to that better opportunity to get him further up and maybe even challenge for a podium position, where I think he would think that's sort of where he wants to be fighting for him, where he wants to be challenging, you know, so.
Definitely. I mean, Yari now, I don't have the gaps because I think Codemasters has messed that up a little bit. But just looking at the gap, Yari, yeah, he is. Yari is closing to Vexit, actually. I think Vexit had a little tussle round Cops, nearly losing it. And so that's given Yari a real big chance as he goes really wide into turn 3. He's going to lose a lot of time there, yeah. So I think Yari definitely has the pace to catch up to Vexit. It's just small mistakes like that. Vexit also making small mistakes. That's going to be what causes a position to be made here. Danny couldn't really capitalize off that mistake that Yari made. I think he was just a bit too far back. And Cubs has fallen back as well. So I think, or Icewind. What's going on? Okay, my thing's glitching out a little bit, but
I think your
no,
timing sheet's maybe giving you a little bit of trouble, trying to throw you in a bit of a loop. Like before it was
Yeah,
showing
pretty
with before it was showing that we had certain people that was like a 40-second gap, whereas on obviously our track map we saw a completely different showing to that. Everyone seems to be within the DRS, of course, of the driver in front. DRS was enabled this lap. Yari then's going to get it out of Magus and Beckett's. Is he going to be close enough? He's within 4/10, which is a very good place to be. He could be in with the opportunity. It looks like Vexit, though, is going to use a little bit of ERS just to try to stay ahead of him there. The difference between them...
got a better exit, and that was that's sort of what causes... So, I mean, you can be 4/10 in catch, but you do need the same exit or a faster exit than the car in front. And getting that worse exit out is really going to cause you to not be able to capitalize. But Yari's definitely showing the pace. He's definitely showing the pace.
Only problem I can see with that though is Yari though getting very, very close to Vex at the moment. Looks like with the next DRS zone, he's going to be within a very good chance of trying to get ahead here. People in the chat at the moment saying that these two drivers are aliens. We'll have to see that for ourselves. But as soon as Vexit and Yari start fighting, you know, not too far down the road, then you do have Danny as well in the Ferrari, and I think Danny's playing a little bit more of a safe game. You know, Danny has proven himself in the past to be one of the more patient drivers on the track, and I think what he's sort of planning is sort of waiting for them to start fighting, waiting for that golden opportunity that he wants for that to open up and for him to take advantage of that. He's done that a lot in the past. We've witnessed all that. Down the grid though, his teammate Timo has currently fallen to about 1.5 seconds behind Jay at the moment. He's going to want to close that down as quickly as possible if he wants to get, you know, within that chance to overtake.
Sorry to cut in there, but Dragon has just lost it in cops and gone straight into the wall. I think he's lost his entire wing. So he was making it up to P18 then. He was slowly catching Tipsy Bob, and I think if we try and get a camera to show us the wing here, then we'll see the damage that caused. He went, he's lost the entire right side of his wing, so he's really going to be struggling. It's good that it happened in cops because he has a short distance now, short run to the pits, but that's going to feel like forever for him. Really unfortunate. I don't even know what happened. I think he just, obviously on the mediums, he just lost it in cops, overshot it a bit. And that's a 5 second for Dragon. Obviously he's just pitted. So yeah, he's DNF'd. So he's retiring in the pits. I don't think he really got what he wanted from this race, and it's unfortunate, but it happens, and so we move on, and that's Yari, now 2/10 behind. Tell you what, he's getting really close, and what you were saying about Danny before, I think when you look at it from his perspective, he has two cars in front of him that are about to be fighting, and he's going to be catching them. And the car behind him has a 3 seconds, so he doesn't have to worry about that car. So, realistically, Danny's in the best position he could be for a second or first even.
I mean, it's like as I said before, you know, Danny's one of the more patient drivers that are there in the grid. Yari's a little bit more aggressive. We've seen for the past couple laps there, he's been really poking his nose at Vexit, really just sort of looking for every opportunity really to see, is there a gap here? Can I maybe try to go for this? Whereas, you know, we've got Danny, like you said, Icewind behind him has got a 3 second penalty at the moment. You know, if anything's going to happen there, it's going to be Cubs maybe trying a move on Icewind. Danny's sort of the middleman, like you said. He's just waiting for these two in front of him to start fighting, and that's going to be his golden opportunity to, you know, take advantage of that. Maybe get ahead there. But coming through, he has lost a little bit of time. It's constantly fluctuating. I think when we look at the ERS differences though, Yari 92% on the ERS. Management top tier in my opinion there. And
this is the top tier.
Definitely. Further down the grid though, I believe Fox is making up some positions though through the first sector, manages to get ahead of Formula Chris. Formula Chris in the beginning not having the best of starts. He's made up some positions, but he is going to have to lose out to Fox here. Fox moving up into P15. The medium runners have had not a bad showing so far. I mean, up there in P10, there's Vito as well. He's looking, but Formula Chris is looking to possibly come back as he's going to switch back, trying for the inside, but he's just not going to be close enough. He's going to have to surrender into Cops.
Touching the grass on the exit, on the entry to Cops. That I honestly thought he was going to spin then. That was really close, actually. And I think Formula Chris was thrown off by it. He goes really wide and slows down. Nico now gets a 3 seconds, so he's right down at the bottom there, but he is actually fairly close to Zamboni.
Gonna cut you off because here goes Yari though. He's taking that opportunity on the inside. He's now on the outside now, holding on to Vexit. Trying to get ahead of, or sorry, I'm completely wrong with that. It was Vexit that was holding on the outside, trying to hold against that. Yari on the inside and does get ahead of Vexit before they hit into turn 1. The gap between those drivers was so close. They were fighting out for the remaining 4 corners, I believe, of the track just after the DRS out of Maggots and Beckett's. But Yari then up into P4 or P1. Sorry, you're confusing me, Sam. But up into P1 then he's made that move happen, and you can see then Danny taking up that opportunity. He's gotten that little bit closer to them just with that fight. It just sort of shows how much time can really be lost with a fight. But now it's going to be on Yari. Can he get away from Vexit? I mean, he's done an amazing job being able to hold on to him. But it's the sort of thing, is he going to be able to, now that he's the driver ahead, he's not going to be the one getting DRS, but he's also not going to have dirty air. Is he going to be able to really pull it out in the next couple of laps and maybe try to open up a little bit of a gap there for himself?
I think what's really going on here, though, is Vexit. I mean, this is getting closer and closer to the pits, I think. As Vexit goes on the inside of Yari, he's made that move before even the corner, so looks like Yari's still holding on to the outside, though. He's going to get the inside for the next corner. We'll see if he can capitalize. Vexit braking insanely late, getting the inside for the next corner, and Vexit's through. So a really close scrap here, and I think we might just see one of these drivers undercutting. That's what I was going to say, is Yari goes again for the outside in turn 1. Vexit's going to give him a lot of space. Yari gets a 3 second, because I think he was just pushed wide a little bit by Vexit. Again, side by side into the next 2 corners. This is incredibly close, but Yari makes it stick, so Vexit going for a move halfway along the track ago. I mean, that's going to give Danny a huge boost as he's right there, and yet Vexit's going to go for it again. So, man, this is really close and really giving Vexit the opportunity, or not Vexit, Danny, sorry, the opportunity to get up there. They're still side by side. They're going to be side by side in Cops, which is probably the hardest place to be side by side. They're on Maggots and Beckett's. We'll see if they can make it stick. Looks like they will. Losing a lot of time to Danny, though. And Vexit's through, so...
I just gotta say, it's very rare we can see drivers being able to hold it side by side through Cobbs, and the way Vexit was able to take advantage of that. By the looks of things, staying within track limits as well.
Icewind's just taken Danny. Danny made a little mistake out of Maggots and Beckett's. Icewind's just gone straight through. So this is now a podium fight between the top 4 drivers. Maybe even Cubs, as Danny and Vexit, and even Cubs are they're all trying to get the undercut. My words aren't working in my brain, but Cubs actually was side by side with Danny into the pits then.
Was definitely quite intense. Just gonna ask you one thing real quick, Albon. Check with your hardware, with your mic at the minute. We hear a lot of blowing going on from whenever you're talking there. If you just want to give that a little check, not a problem at all. But yeah, these drivers then going for the undercut. Danny, Vexit, Yari then going to stay out for a little bit longer. He's got to put in the in-lap of his life if he wants to get in within that chance to come out in front of the likes of Vex. I mean, Vexit now he's going to be about 9 seconds behind Zamboni in the AlphaTauri. So he's luckily not going to be held up in traffic. Nico then pulling into the pits and is actually going to be retiring for the session. So that's going to be one of the McLaren drivers out as well. Looks like Justin That Racer though is getting ahead of Icewind, who's off the track. He's managed to lose it in Cops. He's lost the entirety of his wing, and that's going to be a VSC brought out for that incident with Icewind. I believe Icewind was probably going to be looking to come into the pits in the next couple of laps, and that's just 100% confirmed it. He's going to be led ahead by Silent once again, as we know. Full yellows. Overtaking onto yellows is illegal, so he's going to be able to hold on to his position, but it's going to be a rather slow get into the pits for him. It's the perfect situation, really, for Justin and Yari, though, because Yari and Justin are coming into the pits under VSC. We haven't gotten anything brought up yet to let it know that it's coming off. It's actually just hit right now. where we've come off. Let's get on with Vexit real quick. As it looks,
Icewind got incredibly lucky actually. Is my mic any better, by the way?
a little teeny bit. But what I was gonna say is we were hopping on with Vexit, with Yari coming into the pits. Vexit coming through at the moment. It looks like Yari has got the best opportunity of that because he's exiting the pits now.
Oh yeah,
and he's still ahead of Vexit, and not just by a small margin either. He's got about 4 seconds roughly, and he doesn't want to slow down either because he's already taken Zamboni there. And realistically, when we look at it, he's net P1 at the moment with that gap that he's been able to pull due to the VSC. I mean, this looks like a I believe the track. This looks like a Hamilton Imola situation where the VSC comes out right as he wants to pit, goes in, gets it done, comes out, and just sort of keeps that gap. Perfect situation for him. And I believe Justin was the other driver. Yeah, I was just catching there. Justin was the other driver that decided to come into the pits there. He's going to be fighting with Vexit very shortly. Let's get on with Vexit because this is going to be a bit of a fight. It's going to be a Renault versus a Red Bull. Currently, Justin will be holding a net P2 and Vexit P3 at the moment. He's going to want to get ahead of Justin as quickly as he possibly can. Now, Justin called me his good luck charm before we got into this race, but by the looks of things at the moment, as Vex is heading up the outside, it seems that may be that may have been a false statement, Justin. Got to put a little bit more work in than that, but Vexit making short work of the Red Bull driver, moving up into P9 now. He's about 1.5 seconds out from Zamboni, and then about another 2 from Yari. So if Yari can keep pushing, close down the gap to the drivers ahead. I mean, anyone who's in front of him at the moment is our drivers that started on the medium, so he doesn't really have to close down a gap to get ahead. Once all those drivers decide to come into the pits for their softs, he'll be bumped right the way to the top of the list. But Vexit then, he's made short work of one Red Bull, and he's going on to another Honda. He's within DRS of Zamboni, and that's what he's going to be working towards next to get himself just that little bit further up the grid. Danny then just not as fortunate as he got stuck in a little bit of a sense in the same situation as Vexit. You know, he went in for that early pit as well as did Cubs, but then the VSC obviously comes out. We see Vexit now. He's going to be looking for that move on Zamboni as we're getting ready for Cops. Is he going to risk it and try to go side by side into Cops? He's not. He's going to stay really close behind, get the better exit, and it looks like he's going to try it into Magnus and Beckett. He's got the inside line. He gets ahead. Zamboni's going to pull out. He knows that he doesn't want to fight that through there. It's going to be very, very dangerous. Vexit gets through. He's all the way up into P8.
Silent, P4. He was P4 before the pit, so he was very, very close to Danny. So I think we'll see, really, how the alternate strategy works out for Silent, because he may just jump Danny and be in with a shot for P3. I'm really excited to see how this goes. I'm sorry for the popping, by the way. That's not really going to be helped. I can't really change anything about that. So I think you'll have to put up with me for the moment. I'm
for
sure
the
you
meantime.
anyway, so. it will be fixed shortly, or at some point in the future. You won't have to listen to another stream with me like this. Put it that way.
It's always
yeah.
It's always something good to hear. But yeah, like we were basically saying, it's some intense racing at the moment. You know, Vexit's got some time to make up on Yari. Danny missed out a lot because of this compared to some of the other drivers. I mean, he's got to go through Jay and Justin now if he wants to get back up with Vexit. I mean, that was the three-way battle that was going on, and then obviously Icewind having his trouble. He's all the way down at the moment in P17. Fox with the retirement as well. And yeah, the drivers, I think with Silent, with the gap that's going on here, Silent is going to come out. He will obviously be behind the likes of Danny, but then when he does decide to pit, he will be on the faster tires. So, you know, it's going to be quite a good possibility for him to sort of get in with the fighting there. He's going to be fighting with Kopi and Vito very soon as well as they're closing down those gaps. Vexit, is rapidly trying to close down that gap on Yari, as is Yari to Tipsy Bob. In the racing point a few laps ago, we saw that there was more than a 5-second gap between Yari and Tipsy, I believe, and you can just see how quickly that has closed down. Let's get on with Danny though, as he looks to be cutting down that gap to Jay and the Mercedes in front of him. He's on 1 lap older tires, but he's getting very close. He is going to get the DRS. They're equal on the ERS. Is he going to be able to make that stick? Jay, though, is going to get the DRS on Justin, so it's going to be that little bit harder. And you can see then Danny not wanting to waste as much ERS as what we would see some drivers do at times, because he knows, you know, Jay's got the DRS in front of him. The chances of a clean tech going in there is going to be quite minimal, so he's just going to have to hold off for now. And I think it's going to come out for the exit of Magus and Beckett. So if he can just get a good exit there, he can be looking for that there. Zamboni then having some issues, actually. I thought he was just losing some positions. Sliding around there in the second sector. I believe round was that Luffield? I think that was Luffield who had some trouble through there. So he's down into P16 at the moment. Looks to be missing a left end plate. Yari, though, looks to have already gotten ahead of Tipsy Bob. We blink for a second. We blink and these guys are gone. They're making moves. They're pushing up through drivers, but Tipsy then losing out to Yari at the moment. He's just putting more cars in between himself and Vexit, which is the right thing to do. He's been melting through his ERS at this moment. He's pretty much got nothing left in his reserves, but it's for a good cause in a sense, because, you know, the more people he can put between himself and Vexit for the meantime, the better it is going to be for him to start maybe trying to put out some kind of a gap with that.
Vexit is 4.5 seconds away, so he doesn't even have DRS. He's not going to have DRS for a while. And the other thing is, he only has 20% ERS, so he really doesn't have much ERS either. So I think this is really, really good for Yari right now. Obviously he has a bit less ERS, but I don't think he really needs it too much. Just because he is, you know, increasing, although he is actually losing the gap to Tipsy Bob. Or is he? No, he's gaining. He's gaining the gap, sorry. But at the same time, Vexit is gaining Tipsy about the same pace that Yari is losing Tipsy. So this could be really good, because obviously Vexit's now going to have to fight Tipsy, and that will slow them both down. So this will be interesting to see. Justin is right on him as well, so we may even see Justin try and, you know, take advantage of Vexit and Tipsy. I think we'll have to see. And Justin has 90% ERS coming into that straight, so he has a lot, or 60%. Sorry, I can't think, but no. Other than that, I mean, this is really good for Yari, as Yari actually overtakes 2 cars. I think that's in the pits. So nothing really changed there. I don't know. I think this will be close.
I think a thing we've sort of forgotten to neglect, though, as well at the moment, is the fact that Yari does have a 3-second time penalty at the moment. Vexit is at the moment just outside of that for now, but I'm sure within a few laps, a bit of pushing, he's within the DRS of Tipsy at the moment as well. A little bit extra pushing and he might be able to close that down. So all Vexit really needs to do is get within those 3 seconds of Yari. He doesn't necessarily have to push to catch that gap to get in an on-track fight with him. At the same time, obviously, that's what he would want to do for the sheer fact of anything is possible. We're on lap 15 out of 26. We've got 11 laps left to go in this race. And, you know, either Yari could end up picking up another penalty. Quite unlikely at the moment. He's sort of in a little bit of a clear skies moment. Whereas Vexit, he's going to be pushing a lot more, and it's very possible for him. Speaking of pushing, here he comes now on Tipsy Bob. He's going to get the DRS out of Magus and Beckett. Tipsy knows that that the jig is up in a sense. He's going to hold for the outside. Better line to tech for in here, but Vexit is going to be able to get it done. Moves quickly back onto his line there, and is up into P5. Yari then is going to be moving up into P3 so far, with Brahms heading into the pits there.
Something interesting, the penalty for Yari, I think will almost 100% be removed. Seeing as how he got it, he was side by side with Vexit, and Vexit just pushed him wide, and he obviously had to re-enter because there was grass in front of him, and he re-enters and then got the penalty. So I think that'll probably be removed. You know, he had nowhere else to go, and the game obviously penalized him for it. So I don't know. I think Vexit's got to catch him to get him, and I think that's probably what Vexit's thinking too, because you can't, like you said, you can't bank yourself on a penalty because you don't know what might happen. It might be removed. He might get another one. Vexit might get one. You know, we don't know. So I think Vexit's really banking on catching him now, but Exit's quite a long way off, and he's not really gaining either.
Definitely, and I'm with saying that, you know, that's also you know, with that penalty that that Yari does have, that's going to be something that's going to be down to the FIA, you know, down to race director stuff. It's a whole lot of extra stuff that would have to be taken into consideration. So like you said, yeah, anything can happen, and he is going to want to close that. But we've got such a train going on at the moment with Justin J and Danny and Vexa as well there. That's going on at the moment. Danny hasn't had the best of luck at the moment, you know, with you know, Vexit's at the front there, Justin's holding on to him, Jay's holding on there, but with that DRS train, with Danny being at the back of that, and every driver in front of him getting DRS, it's just that little bit tougher for him to find the precise moment, the correct moment of where he's got that opportunity to move up and you know, go for an overtake. It's very dependent on obviously the exits and you know, how you to exit, and you know, there's just a lot going in there, and he's just been, I feel like he's been struggling but not struggling as well at the same time. I mean, he's behind Jay at the moment, and you know, there's plenty left to go in this race. It's going to come into another key thing. I feel like I'm talking him up a bit much, but you know, he's very patient. You know, he doesn't make too many risky moves in a sense. So I think that's sort of one of the things that's coming in, having a bit of trouble, but also being a little bit more on the patient side, not making or taking too many risks. But Jay looks to be slowly closing down that gap to Justin, you know, just by small margins, bit by bit, lap by lap, and could be looking at a challenge very shortly. But as said before, you know, Justin in front of him, he's gonna have the DRS on Vexa. He's staying quite close to him, makes it that little bit even more challenging for each of the drivers. So they're all in a little bit of in a sense a little bit of a tough spot, so to speak.
I don't think one driver is. I think Silent is in the best spot he can be. He's just come out of the pits onto the softs, gone fastest in Sector 2, and in half a lap, he's gained a second on Formula Chris. So we might see Silent making a real push up the grid. The only issue is that he's got to do 11 laps on, oh, not 11, sorry. Maths is failing me, so, you know, it's a number, it's 10 laps. But it is 11 laps. It's 11 laps since he left, but technically 10. But still, 10 laps is a lot for softs. I mean, 8 laps is pretty much what you want to be doing. 9 laps is pushing it. So, you know, 10 laps could be a real big push at the end. And this means, you know, we could see him get up to P6, P5, but he may just fall back down with the wear. So, yeah, he's really on Formula Chris's toes. I think he really wants that position, but it's so hard to do because obviously, you know, he's in the faster tires, so he's faster everywhere. So he has to be, you know, braking and slowing himself down everywhere, which is difficult to do, definitely. But I think we might see him go for the move just out of Maggots and Beckett's here.
It's very possible. And just to, I just want to direct while this is all going on, you know, Silent's doing an amazing job so far. Could be looking at that move on Chris. In the chat at the minute, we have a few people talking. How amazing would it be if ourselves as spectators were able to get a hold of a helicopter view, in a sense, you know?
I'm sorry to cut you off, but Silent has gone for a move on Formula Chris. He hasn't really made it stick, so... Oh, but he's going to dive it into the left. That was a really big dive. I think he's going to try and switch back, which he doesn't really get. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, that's just an example of just, you know, being a little bit too gutsy, wanting the, like, Silent really wants that position. He really wants to move up, and that's, you know, maybe being a little bit too impatient there. There's plenty of opportunities that will open up being on the faster tires and everything. But yeah, to get a helicopter view, a camera view there, and have a little bit more. Personally, I would love a lot more customization with the with the spectator views and to be able to set up things. Think about this, everyone. If we were able to have specific corner cameras where we could just hook on to, say, the outside line there of Luffield, you know, we could hook on to the inside of Cops, that sort of thing, and just sort of hold there as the drivers are coming through. That would make for a much more entertaining experience for the likes of yourselves sitting at home watching this, and also a much more exciting experience for ourselves as well as spectators and commentators to watch what's going on.
I mean, how about just free cameras, you know? So presets that you can set up and have a free camera as we see Silent going for the move around the outside. It looks like he's going to really make this one stick. He's got the slipstream of Vito as well. Brakes quite late into the corner. Yeah, I think this is pretty easy to call it. I think Silent's really got the move. Yeah, he's passed. So that was a really good move from Silent, actually. But anyway, no, what I was trying to say was free cameras would be amazing. As Knackmeister... Oh, is this from Pits? Yeah, it is. Kopi's Pit. Okay, so... Yeah, you know, imagine having a preset. So you could set up a preset on, you know, left field or whatever, and have it free camera, and you could set up a helicopter camera and that kind of thing, and just go wherever you please. Maybe that would be good.
Yeah, it would. It would just add for a much better experience, in my opinion. And I saw a few people in the chat mentioning there as well. Let me just see if I can find it again. Yeah, it was Jensen, I believe, which should have cameras like iRacing. As you say that, the first thing that comes to mind whenever you mention that is, and I know everyone's thinking it as well. I know everyone has it in their head. It's replays. That would be game changing entirely. That would just change the entire scene as a whole, to be able to capture a specific moment and instantaneously be able to look back on that moment as it was happening. You know, that would just make it so much better. It means it would sort of mean, in a sense, there's plenty of times where you know, we can't track 20 drivers at one specific moment to be able to see exactly what's going on. Silent going a little bit far off the track there, picking up a 3-second penalty. Gets the inside line though on Vito. Vito wants to fight that back though.
Yeah, it was a bit of a turn in. I don't know how that will play out in the FIA's point of view. I don't think it was anything too severe, but it looks like he's gonna sit back. I don't know why he sort of decided to dive then. I think maybe just sitting behind would have been a bit of a better move. But yeah, I mean, iRacing has some great cameras. As Danny goes for it again, he's gonna have the DRS though, so I think this will be a pretty open and shut overtake here. Yeah, he's well past him. So yeah, I mean, iRacing is I've been in a league before. You know, I don't want to boast the league, but we had people who could, yeah, literally replay and set up replays for the commentators, and so, you know, they would just be commentating and you get a little replay and you get that kind of thing, and it's really cool stuff like that. That's really cool to see. As that's Williams off, it's Kopi. Kopi is off at Magnussen Beckett's, and it's also Formula Chris, and he's actually DNF'd. So I think, I don't know what's happened. I don't know if he's retired or... This is
the precise moment, let's be honest, where we would love to be able to look back on something like this and find out exactly what happened there. But as you can see though, game changer at this moment. It's full yellows. It's a safety car. Lap 22 out of 26. Vexit being...
no wing.
Kopi will have to pit there. Yari then. They've passed the front runners have already passed the pit entry, but you can see everyone from Silent down to Kopi, just everyone from P8 downwards is going into the pits. Timo in P8 at the moment, he's going to be getting himself onto a fresh set of softs. His race isn't over by far. Everyone at the front now who missed the pit entry are either going to have to make that decision of, okay, am I going to stay out in these mediums, or am I going to come into pit? And if they do decide to come into pit, there's going to be some positions that can possibly be lost as well there for the safety car restart. For example, if Danny decides to come in for a fresh set of softs, he might lose out to his teammate. It all depends on the gaps. It looks like there's a 30-second gap though from Timo to Knackmeister, so it's looking a little bit safer for him there. But you know, it's going to be interesting. Is Yari going to come into the pits? I think
he should. He definitely should, because at the moment they have deltas, so everybody's going to be staying the same gap. But Yari doesn't. He's trying to trick. Yeah, I think he may have just got Vexit to pit. Maybe reacting, and Vexit just decided to go in. The thing is, I think now is the best time because everybody's on time deltas, so everybody's got to maintain the same gap between each other. Once the safety car properly comes out, which it is, and Yari's going to be picking that up now, that's when it's going to become a bit, you know, more sketchy, because now everybody doesn't have a delta and they're allowed to just gun it. So maybe a mistake from Vexit. but it looks like everybody behind him's pitted, so it's not really going to affect him too much. He's going to come out right behind Yari, so this could be really good for Vexit as well.
I mean, honestly, it's perfect for Vexit. It's perfect for Vexit. It's perfect for Danny. I mean, Yari and Justin as well. Justin decided to stay out. He's up. He's in second place at the moment, behind the Haas of Yari. And 12 lap old mediums. They're gonna have to work with that till the end of the race. Meanwhile, they're gonna have the drivers like Vexit, Danny, Jay, Cubs, all those guys very close behind them on a fresh set of softs, and that's gonna make for quite an exciting close to this race, because I just know off the get-go Vexit's going to get very aggressive, possibly going to be able to get Justin on the restart. The likes of Danny is also going to get a little bit more aggressive, and the fact that Yari has that 3-second penalty as well, if I'm being completely honest, I don't think a win is on the table right now for Yari under the circumstances, of course.
When you think about it, I mean, I think Yari was really banking on Vexit pitting and nobody else behind him pitting. Obviously, you got unlucky with that because everybody pitted behind Vexit. So, you know, Vexit hasn't really lost many positions. If nobody had, then Vexit would be down in P6, P7 right now, and would have pretty much no chance of catching Yari. So, this has really worked out in Vexit's favor. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, when we look at it, really, everyone from P1 to P5 has a chance at the win at this point. You know, I mean, the only driver with a penalty in the top 5 is Yari. And then, obviously, you know, Justin, he has the chance. You know, that's all going to just depend on him. He doesn't necessarily have to be ahead of Yari. But if he ends up being behind him, but within that gap, he would then jump him. But then he's also going to have to deal with the likes of Vexit, Jay, Danny, all those drivers who, you know, are all within that chance. They're on the fresher tires. They're on the faster tires. And, you know, it is literally going to be a sprint to the end. I mean, we're on lap 24 out of 26.
Get one lap. They're only getting one lap to the end.
Approximately 2, because once we hit lap 26, of course, they do one more go round, and it's most likely that the safety car is going to come in this lap. They're going to have, from the safety car goes in, a lap, and then they're going to get one more lap. So it is, this could be very exciting, or this could also get very ugly, in a sense. Yeah. It's very, it can go one of two ways, and it's not going to go in between, in a sense. It's either going to be a very exciting finish to the race, or it's going to get really ugly, and we're going to see the likes of a mosh pit, really.
I think that might just be what happened. Everybody's on softs, pretty much. When you look at the detail and tires, everybody's on softs except for Justin, that racer, and Yari. So I think these two are going to be under a lot of pressure. And the thing is, when you have so many cars overtaking the two front runners, you get a lot of sort of antsy people who are trying to follow each other through, and that can cause a lot of incidents, especially when the likes of Yari and Justin are going wide and, you know, trying to fight for their position. So I think, like you said, I think this could either be very clean or very, very dirty, and I'll be interested to see as we get safety car in this lap. So 2 laps to the end. I wonder how it's going to go out. I mean, really struggling to. He's really going for the heat in his tires, wearing them a bit more than usual. I don't know if that's the right call. If anything, you have 2 insanely good corners at heating tires, 1 and 2. Maybe you should just, you know, heat them to a sort of not cold state, and then just gun it. But Vance gets a 5-second for a severe collision with Vito, so I'd assume that would get taken away.
He's not going to be happy with that, but as we're on with Yari at the moment, it's going to be on him right now, when he's going to decide to start this again. You can see Justin's getting really close. He's wanting to get ahead there. But Justin then, the worst could have happened for him. He got all the way too far ahead of Yari there and had to give that back, and that's when Yari decided to get his start going. Justin all the way down into P8. He's going even further. How far is Justin going to go down here?
P9, that's a long way. And that's Timo also falling down 3 positions, so Timo's really struggling as well. I think he may have just been on colder tires than everybody else. That's a Renault of, I do not know how to pronounce that name, next to Kobe. I'm sorry for this, everybody. I'm not a regular here, so I'm not really aware of the names. Um, so yeah, I mean Vexit, 2 tenths behind, and obviously Yari's on the much slower tire. He's gonna go on the inside for cops.
Already, he just wants to get this done, dusted, and get ahead, and you know, get for that little bit of a tapping, and Vexit almost off the track there.
Loses it. And that's Jay making the most of that. He's right behind now, so that was huge for Yari. I don't know what quite happened. I think Vexit just went a tiny bit wide, tapped him, and almost lost it. It'd be nice if we had a replay.
We actually have one of the Haas's just as you speak there, Nagmeister there, out of cops. Not very happy as he ended up going off the track and is not going to be able to finish this race. Justin's going to be fighting with Vito. Yari managing to hold off Vexit so far.
They haven't had ERS since Maggots and Beckett's. And that is a car in the wall. That's a Haas in the wall. I don't know.
Yeah, that was Nagmeister on the exit of cops, but Vexit then on the inside, really just trying it with Yari. We can see he's got it lined. They're going to be fighting all the way through this. Vexit should be able to get a little bit of a better exit from this.
Will have the DRS? No, he won't. So that means Yari, neither of them got DRS. They were both side by side going over the line, so neither get DRS. But Yari,
I don't think that did they actually enable DRS for this final lap. I'm not even sure if they did, no, but as we go around Luffield though, Vexit holding on the outside manages to get ahead. He's a whole car length in front now of Yari. I'm with that when we look at it. Yari's about to get thrown off the podium. As it stands, we've got Jay and Danny behind him there. Jay's looking at a net P2 and Danny then for P3. Yari wants to keep fighting it though to hold Vexit up as much as possible, but he's just not going to have the tires for it.
At the moment, with penalties not being removed, Yari's going to fall to P7. That's huge.
It's going to be a little bit of a phono finish as Jay then is trying for a little bit of a fight with Yari as well as he's trying for the outside here through Stowe. Gets ahead of him up into P2 on the track. Coming around the final corner comes from a race that I could not have predicted. Vexit actually does come through. He's going to win the British Grand Prix, followed by Jay, Danny, Cubs, Justin. Yari's falling all down the grid into P6. Kopi then crossing the line just behind him then in P7, followed by Icewind, Timo, Tipsy, Silent, Vito, Roms, and Zamboni. That Bance then is going to be the last to come across the line without a wing. I think the Racing Point team forgot to put this on for the safety car restart, but unfortunate for that Bance. He's going to be coming home in P15. But as a lot of people were saying in the chat, that's points for Tipsy Bob. That's the one and only hopping into P10 and scoring himself some points. Coming up for the driver of the day is coming up as Kopi. But throughout that entire session, that's a hard one between, personally for me, Vexit and Yari.
I just saw Yari go straight into the wall with his AI driving them, so I don't know what quite is going on with this lobby, but I guess it's over now. So, in my opinion, maybe even Jay, P8 to P2.
True, was a very, very good drive from the Mercedes driver as well. But what a shape up! We didn't even get DRS for the final lap, but the closing obviously of this British Grand Prix is going to be Vexit in the Renault, getting himself up onto that top spot. Fastest lap as well, 126 flat. Jay then coming in, getting himself up into P2, as you said, from P8 on the grid. A great showing from him. Danny then is going to be holding position, coming through, getting that last spot on the podium. Cubs just missing out in P4, followed by Justin. Yari then dropping all the way down to P6 due to the 3-second time penalty. Kobe then, Icewind, Timo, Tipsy, Silent, Vito, Roms, Zamboni, that Bance, and then our not finisher, sorry, Nagmeister, Formula Chris, Fox, Nico, and Dragon. That was that's gonna be one to remember. That was a bit of a sprint, definitely at the closing stage there. Those last 2 laps was just whatever you got to give it. And Justin, we saw, really wanted it. We could see right before the safety car was restarting, he was actually ahead of Yari as they hit the as they hit the line. So at that point he had to already surrender that position, and then to get onto the power quick enough to avoid a penalty, but also to try to keep up, just wasn't happening. And all the drivers then...
He gets on the brakes to let Yari past, and then Yari just guns it, and so he's got to now be on the power, and that's just not, the cars behind are faster than him now as well, so really unfortunate. I think We'll have to see. We'll have to see if Yari gets his penalty removed. If not, that's P6. If so, that's P3. So, you know, really, really good race though. Good clean racing. So that was really nice to see. And I
That's
suppose we'll see you next week. But I probably won't see you next week because I, I'm just a stand-in.
my little stand-in friend. But we're gonna see real quick if we can manage to get a little chat with some of the drivers to see how it went from there. I'm sure a lot of them are probably sitting there at their sim rigs, chugging a liter of water between everyone, just going mad at the moment. And you know, hopefully we'll in a little second they'll take a little moment to cool off, and we'll maybe get a little bit of a chat with them. But yeah, and I could not have predicted that. You know, that penalty, I thought more coming towards the closing stages, it was going to be, okay, is Vexit going to be able to close down this gap? What way is that going to sort of work? And then with the incident that did befall us, then with the safety car coming out, that was on it. I think that was the be all and end all in a sense. You know, that just sort of gave Vexit the opening he was looking for. And you know, with that, especially then with going into the pits, I mean, honestly, I would have just assumed that there was no faking about it. You know, the way you would sometimes try to fake going into the pits with you know, to try to sort of bait out the other drivers behind you. With being on, you know, 12 lap old mediums, and you know, with it being so close to the end, you being in front, the delta still going, would have been the best chance to hop into to the pits and, you know, put on those softs. But yeah, no, it was a good race overall, and by the looks of things, it looks like I think everyone's just going to be cooling off for the rest of the evening. But that is going to be the close of the 2SRL Tier 1 British Grand Prix. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's good to be back. It's very, very good to be back. And I hope you all did enjoy the session. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the EGL YouTube channel. There's racing throughout all the week. You can check the description for the details. If you enjoyed the stream, make sure to hit that like button. And we'll catch you again very, very soon. And hopefully I'll see you all next week at the same time. I hope you all had a great evening. I hope you all take care. Stay safe. And we will see you all very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.